Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another StarCraft 1 vs 1. I am Mycelian. I am happy to be bringing you a ladder match between two Grandmaster ranked players on the EU server. This is going to be between Team Blast+sYz. My computer gave me a little bit of a hiccup there, getting used to the game, warming up to everything. Blast+sYz is going to be our red Zerg spawning at the bottom 6 o'clock position on Shattered Temple, and the so nice GLHF with a little exclamation mark because he is so happy. He even gave it a little heart earlier. He is the Blue Terran spawning at the north. His name is SonG. Now, SonG is rank 53 Grandmaster, and that's pretty good when you consider all of Europe, and it's definitely one of the more competitive regions. I'd say just about all of StarCraft 2 is competitive, but Europe certainly is up there. His opponent, Blast+sYz, I'm just going to be calling him SYZ. Blast is the team name, and I've seen him around a fair bit. I actually believe there was a number of, a couple maybe competing at the ASUS Republic of Gamers tournament. At any rate, it is going to be a regular ladder match, a replay from sc2rep.net. sc2rep.net, I always want to spell that out so people can drop by, pick up replays they want to see for themselves, and enjoy. So, regular Terran vs Zerg, at least in terms of openings, it looks like a 15 hatch is going to go down. Very, very standard for the current metagame, even while those minerals are building up. Ooh, quick drop there. Blast making sure to get a patrol just to make sure there wasn't going to be any silly SCV blockage for that hatch. It seems like a one refinery might be a Reaper expand. We're going to have to see what add-on is dropped from the barracks. Or even could be going up into a 1-1-1 play if SonG is a fan of the, sure enough, a Marine. We will have to see. He didn't go right. I don't think it's going to be a fast Reaper. He didn't go right into the tech lab. But at any rate, I don't think I talked about Blast, who is ranked, at least at the time of this cast, 161 on the Grandmaster. So, you know, SonG, who is unteamed, seems really good. But not to put down SYZ. He is an exceptionally good player, and all this Marine might be able to catch this drone. Not going to be the case. That drone with a set of gold minerals is just going to scurry on home with an extra good surprise. Now, it seems like SonG is prepping for a little bit of a bunker rush. However, with the SCV at 30, now 25 health, and a few drones, he had plenty of drones pulled out from here to make sure that was not going to happen. Even still, second Marine coming down to accompany the first. We do have a reactor going up initially, so it does look like it's going to be a 1-1-1, maybe reactor Hellions into Banshee play. This Overlord getting a little caught off guard here. That will definitely die. Put Blast in the food cap section. He needs to start getting. I'm sure as soon as his minerals. No, the Overlord ends up living as, wow, a full 7 drones are pulled off the line, and yet not a single one lost. Looked like some great control to not have these Marines and SCV surrounded by the 7 drones. At the same time, great control to not have anything die. Both of these players already showing a very high caliber of skill and ability. The speed has begun, and we do have a 1-1-1 coming out here. The Hellions didn't swap over, so it's just going to be single pumping a few Hellions for a little bit. Both these players sizing each other up, continuing to get their macro going. Blast, he hasn't scouted that his opponent hasn't expanded yet. Nice single spine crawler there, and 4 Zerglings to help retain a bit of map control, at least as soon as that speed goes. I like that Blast isn't overreacting. No, he's continuing to drone up. He's really trying to keep his worker count ahead of his opponent to start. And here comes a push. It is going to be pretty deadly, leaving a couple of Marines at home just in case of any Zergling run by. And again, these top tier players, one of their biggest things is their ability to not overreact, to not send everything, but to leave a Marine behind. May send just a couple. No, he's actually going to load it up. Oh no, I was talking about one thing. The second is happening. SonG has a completely different plan going here. An evolution chamber is down. We likely have Blast saying, okay, where's my opponent coming in with things? He probably suspecting that Banshee. Sure enough, we do have a tech lab going. But here comes the elevator play, and it actually was spotted by SYZ. I keep calling him Blast. I really need to call him by his player name, not just his team name. Oh, and these queens are going to die. All of these queens are going to die trying to pick off Marines, trying to pick off the medevac. This is going to be a hard defense for SYZ, losing all 3 of his queens, but he has 24 Zerglings in production at a single time, singly balling them up. Now bringing them in for the surround. They're going to have to, only some things are going to be able to get lifted off, if any at all. Waiting for those last 12 links to spawn. Here they go. They are moving in for the surround. The defense does hold here. And SonG is able to scurry out with 2 Hellions and 4 Marines. Now that means he did lose the rest of the Marines that marched up and were elevated in. However, SYZ is left queenless, as he has to get 3 queens producing at once, keeping up that drone count. That's the big thing, is that the damage was not done to the mineral line. Queens were killed, yes, and that is a pain. But other than that, it was only Zerglings. Baneling Nest does go down to help defend against all those light units. Still no infantry tech. We do have a Banshee on the way. About halfway done. A couple more barracks going out, so we're likely to see probably a Marine tank style. I couldn't see a mech versus Zerg really handling well if you're going to be producing off of 3 barracks. Banshee does make its way down here. In fact, this one must have already been produced. Does have 1 kill. Maybe spotted a little Zergling or a drone, was able to nip it out. Second Banshee is produced and out on the field. This one really needs to be repaired. But no is gutsy, wants to take care of this creep tumor. Good game sense by SonG. Blast began to work at rocks. I am always a fan of not having idle army units. Probably going for these rocks. Yes, I love not having idle army units. I really think it's something that a lot of players need to do. Ooh, and a single Marine up here just to spot, maybe even to pepper at some Marines, but just keep an eye on these destructible rocks. Again, not overreacting, but doing some very, very smart play. This might be the 3rd Banshee out on the field. No, there are only 2. And the first one is here, racking up some easy kills. Zergling's not terribly expensive, not terribly important. However, it is kind of just a pain in the bum. Oh, and now the 2 Banshees coming in, trying to pick off the weak one. No, slipping out at 14 health. SonG might even help his opponent clear out these rocks if he weren't too busy blasting at all these lings. Do like the Overlord positioning here. This one might be able to go up top, and it really just right there could still scout if there was any drops going, which is exactly what these are for. And of course, that Overlord right there. The only thing is that Vikings could be produced and would readily kill the Overlords. And like 1 Viking can just go around the map real quick, just do a little bit of Overlord clearing. But really, when you're making a Raven, you can't make a Viking. I'm very interested by the fact that this Raven is being produced. I'm not sure what it would be used for other than some creep killing. It might be good for, I'm trying to think, point defense drone against mutas. Mutas are out on, or not on the field, but they are on the way. We have a lot of Zerglings as well as some Banelings being morphed. Down to 35 Zerglings because 15 were now going into Banelings. There were 50 Zerglings out on the field, and sure enough, the Raven is going to help detect these creep tumors, pushing back a little bit without having to force scans, which some Terrans would say is worth it. Checking for a 3rd, not finding anything, at least nothing at the high yield. As the Marines, which do have stem and combat shields, are moving forward. Siege Tech has just finished. Baneling speed on the way. Zerglings at 1-0, or 1-1, I'm sorry. And that Carapace 2 being researched before melee level 2. Missile turret is going down to help defend against the Mutalisk. And the Raven doesn't have enough energy for the point defense drone just yet. Blast having a little bit of a missed typo there, along with his missed rally points. And the Banshee's ready to start, probably moving in and just trying to kite bait these queens out. Yep, here they come in. going for a couple of Zergling kills, really pushing the Spine Crawler, saying neener, 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 can't do it. Oh, and then the mutas come in. But no, the point defense drone hit just enough range. So the mutas do get close enough to do damage and take out one. This Queen's so low on health, these mutas so low. All these Banelings and Zerglings. We have 28 Banelings and 49 Zerglings on the field. Has Baneling speed finished? Yes, it has. These Banelings are now rolling, and they're going to roll right into this Terran army. There's not nearly enough here to deal with this just yet. Catching two of the tanks out of siege. The mutas come in as well to help defend. Point defense drone not doing a whole lot now as the Zerglings and the Banelings do swarm over the infantry, over the siege tanks, over everything, chasing the Terran army home. Some good scoot and shoot action here by the Marines with Stim. They can easily outrun these Banelings. Oh, except for that one. And that's going to be enough for our Zerg player, who is even dropping a little bit of creep here to make sure that his opponent doesn't orbital right over, which it looks like he's getting ready to do. Mutas come in, try for some counter harass, and even the auto turret being dropped here, that is going to pull a bit from the Raven's energy. That Raven, which is nowhere to be found. The Raven is no longer on the field. I guess the mutas managed to snipe it. Mutas sitting at 0-0, a +1 for them. All you have to do is you sacrifice one muta in production, and you can get your first attack upgrade, and it really can make a difference. Strange, even Terran building armor coming in here. SonG might be looking to take a very defensive stance, though it could be that he's just wanting to really protect. Oh, he did go orbital on this base. Yes, he is going to go up to 3 armor there, and he's going to want the defense against it. Interesting that he would choose it, though, but I guess he's probably going to be taking a more defensive position. He'll probably drop some buildings here along this area just so he can create a fair bit of a wall. Blast already a step ahead of his opponent. Surprise, your opponent is just about to catch up with you. You're only 1 step ahead. Blast will really... I just keep calling him Blast. I know that's the team name, not the character name, the player name, but go with me, you know who it is. Mass SCV transfer. And this is before the patch. I must note this real quick. This is right now... this game was done in patch 1.4.2 when mules did a huge amount of minerals per trip. You can watch that Terran mineral skyrocket. In fact, harvester count is fairly even. SYZ really ought to, and he is saturated here. Both those extractors pop at the same time. He really needs to get this 4th base going so that he can completely outmacro his opponent. Even though the Terran is doing a fairly, fancy winged Thor. That is something shiny right there. Somebody has the special edition. I wonder what's going to happen to the special edition Thor when you get into Heart of the Swarm. At any length, some muta harass coming in here, sniping out some missile turrets. So they are at a nice flock of mutas. Very powerful set. In fact, 5 more even coming up here. Really heavy muta play, which I always enjoy. And there's that +1 about to finish we talked about. Hive even just starting. We're going to see when that finishes if he goes right into the Greater Spire play. Because it seems like this is a very, very standard off game. Marine tank up into Thor's. Probably will move into a Thor tank field with some Marine drops. Oh, and a drop that was probably intercepted here has been found out. Getting surrounded, and I like that he's not engaging with just mutas. The big thing is Zerglings are cheap. Zerglings can just be, I mean, not Banelings so much. Banelings take a little bit to morph, and you don't want to waste them. But Zerglings are so cheap they can be produced. Oh, drop coming down here into the high yield. Man, I am just all over the place missing these drops. Really need to keep an eye out for these as SonG taking that select aggressive drop play feel. But man, just look at all of these Zerglings popping out. And still the macro is slipping for SYZ. I was saying that I like that. Oh, trying to pick off these Banelings, turning around, putting them against them. Good split, is going to get half. Marines can be very effective in picking off Banelings as they roll by the edge there. Marines can be very effective in picking off Mutalisks, which can be fairly expensive and take a little bit to build. And so having mutas chase down Marines, but then with mass Zergling support, is these 2 Marines, the luckiest little guys in the world. Zergling support for mutas, as I keep trying to get to, can be fantastic. I think it's an intelligent play, I think it's a great play, and I think this is an absolute gaggle of Mutalisks. 27. As they direct these, yeah, see, even 27 mutas that directly engage Marines can still get killed, and that's a lot of deaths you don't want to happen. But you lose some Zerglings, who cares? Just hold the Z button and you'll make 8 billion anyway. Set of Marines moving in with a 2-2 about to finish. They are 1-1. Obviously, you can't jump up to 2-2 unless you have some serious Terran hacks. And those Javelin missiles, these, I think the Thors are going to be absolute telltale for the defense against these mutas, because otherwise the swarm of mutas is going to be so terribly overpowered. They can come and they can just snipe, and then they can have free range, just destroy the missile turrets. There's nothing really to stop them until they get clumped up and then get smacked around by a Thor. So you can keep them spread out in fairly magic box, and then they're going to go right for, oh, there's the Thor popping one Mutalisk as his little giblets go flying. Another laying into a few. There are 2 Thors attacking, but man, these Mutalisks really want this command center dead. No repair coming in on it. That was a little strange. And the Mutas staying fairly spread out. Still losing a couple more, and they are down 2. 22 Mutalisks on the field, but the Terran has set up on the Zerg creep. He says, you know what, I don't care that you can see that I'm here. I'm all sieged up, I'm ready to go. Let's do this. Pushing back creep even more. The tumors have been killed. It is going to take a little bit for this creep to recede, but because the tumors are not there, they actually aren't seen. "23 Banelings on the field, now 24, and 136 Zerglings. This is the swarm, ladies and gentlemen. Good lord, the mass ground army of SYZ is incredible. 200, 200, he is ready to just move in and crush his opponent. And actually, he is leading on harvester count. So the army comparison not, or the army, even more Banelings being morphed. Because you know what? Let's just make a Zerg nuke. Let's make it out of giant green acid goo. Even chitinous plating on the way, so we are going to be seeing some ultras these games. I always love to see ultras, big, clunky, fun units that they are. Oh, and this queen getting sniped out before she can get another inject on. That is okay, because the inject probably wouldn't have lasted this yeah, this hatchery is going down. Zerglings moving in, actually doing pretty moderate effective damage against these Thors. A lot of the splash damage from the siege tanks coming in. Oh, and some drones getting picked off as they do try to retreat with that high yield. Unfortunately, they're going to go right back to their deaths. What is the Zerg up to? The Zerg is, oh, obliterating the Terran, the 3rd, or 4th, actually. This entire time moving in Mutalisks. So many with no Thors. Thors right now could just pop and weaken this entire group. But the Terran continues to push forward. It looks like he's just waiting, rolling in sets of Banelings at a time, taking out a huge cluster of Marines. Here comes some more Banelings, moving in, landing on those Thors. Not so much damage going in there. The Mutas continue to harass, killing what workers they can, but nope. Fleeing from just a few Marines there. And here come the Zerglings swarming in, pulling back, swarming in, pulling back. He needs to make a decision. Blast needs to commit his army into an attack to defend. He can't win a base race, especially when he only has mutas. And with the Terran army right here on your door, what are you waiting for, Blast? He's waiting for those ultras to pop out, and they've gone up and attacked from the top. Zerglings moved in from the bottom, swarmed around the tanks. Ultras taking the hits, but it doesn't matter. They do die, but so do all the Thors, all the Marines. 4 more ultras still popping out. More sets of Zerglings, and the mutas unchecked. Those Thors really needed to have, at least leave a few Thors home, because then when the mutas clump up around a target, that's when they're really vulnerable. And some key shit, even one Thor being rescued via medevac. Oh, it's always so fun to see a Thor ship. Here comes, oh, attack almost coming in, a flank attack with Zerglings from one side and mutas from the other. Not so effective. When a drop being rallied very quickly, right here to stop work on this 4th. Unfortunately, the Terran's still mining out of the gold. You can see the mineral trip per minute is very high, and in fact, Terran needs those minerals desperately. Also wants to stop his opponent. Oh, but here come into again an attack with mutas, ultras, Zerglings before the tanks could siege up, going to be completely obliterating the army. Last one was a little bit of a trade, but this one there is no doubt. with 4 Ultras still up, 15 Mulas still flying. The Terran army needs to take a very defensive posture right now, which they're more than happy to do, just without siege tanks, which is an interesting choice. The drop has happened here, as I have just been terrible about missing drops today. Force the workers to retreat, and no response have been given yet. Probably just going to focus down on this hatchery. Is it going to go down sitting? Oh, yes. Barely it dies, as that last Marine gives his life for the Terran Dominion to make sure that Zerg cannot mine. Actually, finally was just a hatchery that popped. Otherwise, he would have had to long-distance mine all the way back to the hive. I'd like to see a secret base dropped here. But really, at this point, he just barely has enough minerals to continue Zergling production. Mutalisks, Ultras, great units, but without that mass Zergling support, they get focused down too quickly, too readily. You have to have that cannon fodder. A little bit of a smart Overlord spot, catching these sets of Marines. Just a few less attacking, just fewer attacking units. I was trying a few less. That sounds a little redundant. Fortunately, this Marine might pick off that Overlord. And this is where we get into the late game endurance mode, where it's which player can last longer from the other player's harass. Love to see these mutas go right back into here. Oh, look at that nummy mineral line. And in fact, it looks like that's what it's going to be. This Overlord up, getting harassed, but it's okay. He's got some muta buddies here to help him out. And yes, the rocks are going to come in here. Now, how is SonG going to respond? Is he going to push for a base trade again? He's got a drop going up to defend, a medevac full, but that's not going to be nearly enough. A few Vikings here preemptively trying to predict Broodlord is not going to be the case, though, as these Ultras are still out in full force. 5-3. Zerglings do swarm in, and in fact, SonG bringing his army around from the south. The muta is going to be fairly repelled as they're trying not to engage the Terran directly. A fantastic choice, but unfortunately he's about to be sandwiched between the Terran's entrance and the forces coming in from the back. Even some Marauders coming in to help deal extra damage to the Ultralisk. And Blast sitting at 71 supply. SYZ mining out of his high yield, trying to get his 4th base back up and running, but not dealing the damage that he had to deal. Medevacs are going to help clean up this infantry damage, heal them back up to full, and with Thors, mech, tanks on the way, even some Vikings that could land or just be a pest. All these Banelings morphing in. 19 Banelings morphing, 6 Zerglings out, 8 more on the way. I don't know if it's going to be enough. Rallied all directly there, but they're on a move command. They need to be on an attack command. Oh, rolling right in, not actually attacking anything. That is going to be GG as the mutas die to the Thors. The Ultras dying right in front of the tanks. Wow, what a fast-paced, intense game. Fantastic Terran vs. Zerg. Love seeing both these players. I'm actually going to be looking a bit more for SonG in the future. SYZ, of course, a bit more recognizable because of that blast tag, but who is this SonG kid? Does he always play like this? Because he played very, very well. I loved his aggressive drop play. I really liked his meticulous dissection of his opponent, and especially bringing around the army from the south a lot. Wouldn't expect that. Forcing his opponent to engage sort of on 2 fronts when the Zerg really couldn't afford to. At either rate, SYZ still played a fantastic game. Really, really powerful Zerg play. I would have loved to have seen him try to be a base up his opponent at all times, but considering that he wasn't and held on for so long, very, very well done. That is going to be it for this replay. I'm going to go right into another because I'm just loving StarCraft so much. I can't wait to see you guys.